Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NoSilicast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever-so-slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, February 8th, 2026, and this is show number 1083. Well, Steve and I leave for our trip to Finland and Estonia tomorrow. Now, last week I asked if anyone wanted to meet up with us in Helsinki, and we're super excited that Timo answered our call. Should be great fun to get the feel of Finland from him. See, he's originally from Michigan, like CJ in the chat room here, and that's my home state, but he's been living in Finland for almost 30 years. If anyone else can be in Helsinki on Wednesday, February 11th for lunch, shoot me an email at allison@podfeet.com. While we're gone, the delightful Jill from the Northwoods will be taking the reins, making sure our 20-year streak of NoSilicast is not broken. She's even going to do security bits with Bart, which should be awesome. Now, the only thing you'll miss is that there will be no live show on Sunday, February 15th. We will, however, be back for the live show on the 22nd. You know, I always have fun when I get to be on the Clockwise podcast with Micah, Sargent, and Dan Morin, and this week's experience was no different. The second guest was the lovely Chris Lawley. We started out talking about our cozy gaming habits. That's where I had to admit I have no game at all. Then we chatted about whether AI coding integration makes us want to build apps, which gave me an opportunity to plug my 2 time-based web apps. Then I turned the show political by asking each person, list view or column view, and I demanded that they defended their positions. I think you'll enjoy the answers. Anyway, we ended friends when we gushed about what rumored Apple products we will insta-buy. You can find this episode at relay.fm/clockwise and look for show number 642, A Hierarchy in My Head. Now, we may all remember 2026 as the year it took Allison, 5 tries to fix a borked audio file. It all started when I misaligned 2 audio tracks in NoSilicast 1080. When I fixed it so they were aligned properly, I did not notice that it was also 2 of the same interview. So I fixed it again to put in the right 2 interviews. Through this process, I kept renaming the file, went from the original to adding an A at the end to adding a B. When I finally got it fixed with Rev B, boy, I was sure I was finally done. Imagine my surprise this week when Joe Pease posted in Slack that his podcatcher, Overcast, was saying the content for episode 1080 was unavailable. I made him go through a whole bunch of machinations, like deleting the episode, then deleting the subscription and resubscribing to the NoSilicast, and finally trying another podcatcher. He reported back that the results didn't change. The content was unavailable. I decided to go look at the source. If you go to podfeet.com/NoSilicast/rss.xml, you can see the raw text of the RSS file that brings you the NoSilicast. Now, at first it might look like utter glop to you, but if you scan down the file, you'll see tags that say item and then /item. Inside each one of these item tags, you'll find the title of an episode, a link to the associated blog post, and then the description, which is the actual blog post content. Next, you'll get the publication date. And finally, you get to the most important one, the enclosure tag. To my horror, I saw that the enclosure tag file was set to NC 2026-01-18A.mp3, not B.mp3. While I'd fixed the link in the blog post on my last pass through, I forgot to fix it in the feed file. I cannot believe I forgot that. And I was very careful to go back and delete Rev A and Libsyn, which is why when Joe P tried to fetch the file, it said it was gone. Once I realized the problem, it was a quick 1-character fix. I pushed the feed again, and Joe was finally sorted. So now I'm kind of wondering, what happened to all the people who tried to listen to episode 1080 through their podcatchers over the last couple of weeks? Does everyone listen so much later than the shows are produced that they just haven't hit the problem yet? And I can't tell you how much I wish I could reach back into the past to tell them. Oh well, I sure hope this is the last time you have to hear about episode 1080. Did you ever see the movie The Jerk starring Steve Martin? He plays a young man who isn't terribly sophisticated in the ways of the world. One day when the new phone books arrive, and he loses his ever-loving mind with excitement because he finds his name in the phone book. He starts yelling, "The new phone books are here! I'm somebody now!" That's exactly how I felt last week. David Nathanson, who's member of a local Mac users group, asked Perplexity a question about how to use hyper backup on a Synology. He was curious about which encryption method he should use. One of the advantages of Perplexity is that it shows you the original source of the answers it presents. To his delight, the first recommendation was from podfeet.com. He sent me a screenshot of it and everything. Well, that absolutely made my day. But then it happened again. Kiwi Graham posted on Blue Sky a screenshot showing where he asked Perplexity another question about Synology. He wanted to know about migration strategies, and the first hit was also from podfeet.com from my article entitled The Great Synology Migration of 2022. How fun is that? I am somebody. Okay, let's actually get this show started with a CES interview. This one is fun in audio, but it's also really fun in Steve's video, which you can get to with a chapter mark in the show notes. You get to see me walking around in an exoskeleton. We love nothing more than me strapped into some machinery at a show, so I'm with Toby Knisley of Hypershell, and he has strapped me into quite a little gizmo here. What am I wearing?
Yeah, so this is Hypershell X Ultra. It's our top-of-the-line flagship model of our outdoor exoskeleton.
Love a good exoskeleton. So I can tell I've got something pretty tight around my waist. I've got carbon fiber down here going down to my legs, and it's strapped into my legs. Mm-hmm. And what is this going to do for me?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a waist harness with motors, a battery. It's also strapped to your thighs, and the motors will give you torque. It'll give you a boost in endurance, in energy, reduces your fatigue. It lets you walk further with less effort.
So would I want to take this hiking, for example, where I'm not really fit to go up to, whatever, Mount Whitney, like Steve is, and instead I would wear this?
Yeah, so one of our main use cases would be hiking, outdoor activities, mountain climbing, or anything that has severe uphill gradients. It's really good there. Okay. It's also good just in everyday life. So, for example, walking around at CES, you maybe do 30,000 steps in a day. This is a really good solution for CES.
Okay, so why didn't you walk with me when I'm going to start trying to walk? So I should feel...
Yeah, so you tell me what you feel, actually.
So it feels pretty easy to walk. I definitely feel more mechanical as I'm moving.
Yeah.
Should I be... I'm not noticing a lot of assists.
Yeah, so I think it really shines when you're in a kind of a recognizable pattern. So if we just walk as if we're walking normally, don't worry about the mic and about me. Just walk normally.
We're going to walk towards Steve.
Yeah,
so I'm just...
as you know.
Oh, yeah. Now it's going up and down. Now I can feel it a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so just at your first try, you were doing kind of like more of a shuffle, like baby steps, and it didn't really detect that motion.
Okay,
and
so it didn't know what to do, how to help me.
It didn't really know exactly what to do. But yeah, when you're doing more normal steps, larger cadence, it gives you that boost.
Okay, Now are there different levels to this?
Yeah, so right now
are you going to crank me up now?
Right now you were just in Eco 100%, and I'll give you now, this is max power. It's called hyper mode. So now you're in the max power.
So this burns the battery a little faster. All right, let's turn around, and let's see how I'm going to go. Here we go. All right.
Yep, what?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. That is lifting my legs, Steve. It is absolutely... Oh, my... I feel like I'm marching now. I could be in marching band. Oh, I'm running into him. He's running out of space. That is really, really effective. So the difference between the full eco mode and the Mad Max mode I was in there, what's the battery life difference?
So in eco mode, you can get up to 30 kilometers or maybe 5 to 7 hours. Oh. In hyper mode, it really burns through the battery a bit faster. So you're looking more at maybe 5 to 6 kilometers or like 90 minutes. Yeah.
So I assume there's levels in between?
Yeah, there's also levels between.
It's just more fun to mess with the person doing the demo to just crank it up and feel the difference?
Yeah, I think the demo definitely want to give you the max power.
Just even like moving my legs like this, I can feel the thing lift. I feel like it's lifting my legs.
Yep.
So is this on the market yet today?
Yep. So X Ultra, this model launched in September. So we've been on sale for a couple of months now. And it's available now. This model costs $2,000 US. Yeah.
All right. And if people wanted to check this out, where would they go?
Yeah. The best place would be our website, hypershell.tech. Yeah.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Toby.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me wear it. I think we should get this shot going away. Let's see. That's crazy. That's really fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for trying it. Yeah. Appreciate it.
This is NoSilicast Steve Mattan reporting from Piney Place in the New Jersey Pine Barrens with an overview of the application Touch Portal. Most listeners of this podcast will be familiar with the Stream Deck, and many likely own one or even more. As I have a soft spot for such gadgets, I was intrigued, but I'm also a bit frugal, aka a cheapskate, and thus did not want to buy a device that could wind up gathering dust sitting on my desk. Thus, the problem to be solved was to alleviate my FOMO with respect to these bunch of button devices. The good news is that there is a Stream Deck mobile app for iOS. The bad news was that at the time it was subscription only, a hard pass for me for any app that does not incur direct costs from my use of the app. There is now a one-time purchase option. But somewhere along the way, I learned of Touch Portal, a software box of buttons system that checks all the boxes for me. Touch Portal consists of two parts: the host and editor, which is installed on the system you wish to control, and the client, which is installed on your mobile device. Touch Portal hosts are available for macOS 10.13 or later, both ARM and Intel, and Windows 10 and 11. There's also a beta version available for Linux. Touch Portal clients are available for iOS 12 and later, and Android 5.0 and later. Touch Portal's support for older iOS versions appeals to my frugal side, as I'm using it primarily on an original iPad Air, a device which would otherwise be gathering dust in a closet or decaying in a landfill. The folks at Touch Portal note, we try to keep compatibility with old OS versions as long as we can, as we think it's important to recycle old devices as much as possible. Giving them new life helps keeping our world just a little bit healthier. I concur. As I've only used Touch Portal on my Mac and iPad, and more recently on my iPhone XS, I will focus on these. The other thing about Touch Portal which appealed to the cheapskate in me is that it is a one-time purchase. For the princely sum of US $13.99, less than a year of Stream Deck Mobile, you can unlock the Pro upgrade. I mentioned that in addition to my iPad, I also have Touch Portal on my iPhone XS, which is enabled by purchasing the multiple devices upgrade for $6.99 US. There are 4 additional upgrades available dealing with UI customization. If you buy all 4, it will set you back another US $6.76. Thus, for a total of US $27.74, you can unlock all of Touch Portal's functionality. So what do you get with the Pro upgrade? The free version of Touch Portal allows you to create up to 8 buttons in a 4x2 grid and 2 pages. More than enough to experiment and see if it'll work for you. The Pro upgrade allows up to 110 buttons per page with unlimited pages. That's a lot of buttons. So what can you do with Touch Portal? Stuff, cool stuff, and much more than I'm going to cover here. The cool stuff includes launching applications, opening folders, opening URLs, running Apple scripts, running Keyboard Maestro macros, sending virtual keystrokes, i.e. keyboard shortcuts. The last 3 open up quite a few possibilities as Mac automation tools work quite well together. Here are some things I do with Touch Portal. Pause, play music. Launch my morning bunch file to set my Mac at the start of my day. Side note, Bunch by Brett Terpstra is awesome. Start up my Windows and Ubuntu virtual machines in parallels. Connect to my Proxmox Home Assistant or Raspberry Pi systems. Toggle on off my office ceiling fan, my underdesk fan, my desktop cup warmer, my desk lamp, my Windows laptop. Launch a web browser and bring up specific websites, such as the highly informative and entertaining Podfeet Slack site. Put my Mac to sleep, the topic that led to this overview. My main Touch Portal window is a grid of 5 rows and 7 columns, and 22 of the 35 slots have buttons. From this Touch Portal main window, several of the buttons open other Touch Portal windows, each having its own layout of buttons, with one window being a virtual numeric keypad. Some buttons open further windows with even more buttons. I will note that Touch Portal is not, as Mr. Gruber would put it, a Mac-assed app. It is Java-based, and as such, it doesn't quite follow Apple's human interface guidelines, but is easy enough to learn and use. Documentation is available from within the app and on the Touch Portal website, although occasionally it seems a bit Windows-centric. Configuring a button in Touch Portal is similar to macOS shortcuts or Keyboard Maestro in that you select an action in the editor window on your host machine and then enter the details for the application, URL, keystrokes, Apple script, etc. you want to open or run. Upon save, the client is immediately updated. There is a Touch Portal marketplace where you can find community-created, pre-configured Touch Portal pages. The virtual numeric keypad mentioned earlier is one such page, plugins, and icon packs. Icons can also be created using files on your computer. The Touch Portal marketplace is available from a tab within the Touch Portal Host Editor app or on the Touch Portal website. Even more community assets are available on the Touch Portal Discord server. The Keyboard Maestro Touch Portal plugin is one such, available via Discord, and it is free of charge. In conclusion, no mo FOMO. With Touch Portal, I found a way to keep old devices off the scrap heap, enhance my daily computer use, and bring joy to my inner nerd. You can find more information and download links at the Touch Portal website, www.touch-portal.com. So go get that old iPad or iPhone, or that old Android phone, we won't judge, out of the closet and give Touch Portal a try. Have fun.
I love this so much, Steve. By the way, he didn't mention it, but Touch Portal also runs on Linux and Windows too, and you can use Android devices to control these machines. So it's cross-platform, inexpensive, and lets you use older devices if you want to. What's not to love? Steve, I hope you'll be back with more of these reviews soon. Keep them coming. You know, I love accessible tech, and I had to stop by the Naqi Logix booth to talk to Sandeep Arya about something really interesting here. It looks like a headphone, but it's going to be a lot more than that.
You're absolutely right. This is definitely more than a headphone. This is a neural earbud, which converts a normal earbud into something truly magical because it lets you control any devices around you, whether it's a computer, whether it's a mobile phone, a robotic arm, a wheelchair. And you do that without touching it, without speaking anything to it, without looking any camera, and without looking at a screen where applicable.
So it's all through your ear canal that it's figuring this out?
It's not the ear canal, but it's the electromyography signal, EMG signals. So it's actually picking up your subtle head movements and also the micro gestures from your face and converting them into the signals.
Okay, so I've got some disability where I'm missing a lot of motor functions and maybe I can't speak. You're saying with this, I'm not even having to turn my head and I'd be able to control a computer? How does that happen?
Yeah, so the inspiration came from disability only.
It came from what?
From the person who is disabled.
Okay.
So the friend of the inventor is quadriplegic, and he was considering a brain implant. And he told our inventor, Dave Siegel, that you are my last stop before I consider a brain implant. And that's how this all started. And that person hasn't moved anything above his neck. So we pick up the micro gesture and subtle head movements to convert those into the commands. So even if you cannot move your arms, you are in wheelchair, you can still control your wheelchair. You can still control a computer or pick up a phone call, which you couldn't before. For controlling a television, you don't need a remote control. You can actually control our entire television just with the earbuds.
Okay, so we have an earbud here. Yeah. Can you hold that in your hand? Or?
Yeah.
So this is the earbud. It looks like a normal earbud with a black box on the outside.
No, so this is nothing but because this is a prototype. We are still have not commercialized it. But the key or the magic is the sensors. The sensors are the one which are picking up the silver parts.
Okay, I'm going to describe this. So there's the rubber ear tip that goes into your ear.
Like a normal earbud.
Like a normal earbud, but then there are flat sensors on either side.
The silver one.
And in the sort of winglet that a lot of headphones have to hold them in place.
Yeah. So these sensors are the one which are picking up any kind of micro gesture that we make, and then taking that into the consideration with our AI engine, that knowing that this is intentional, and then converting it into the commands.
Wow. So this makes me think, what if I started laughing? Would it all of a sudden start, rolling my wheelchair and changing my PC, doing something?
Great question. And that is exactly why the AI that we have built in is so robust. And we also have built something called invisible user interface. And the invisible user interface is like a Rubik's Cube, which also let you switch between the devices. So right now, our AI is robust enough where we are 95% plus accuracy. So we are not worried about unintentional false inputs. We are able to take care of that.
Wow. Now, in the background, I'm not sure it's been on since Steve's been recording, but there's been a gentleman with his hands folded across his chest to show basically nothing up my sleeve.
Yeah.
And he's been controlling a PC in the background, right?
That is correct, because people, when they see these kind of demos, they think something is going on behind the scene. So Dave Siegel has purposely put hands up and just holding on to those so that people know that he's not utilizing anything. And it's nothing but the earbud.
So he's just, like you said, very subtly tilting his head.
Yes.
He is looking around,
Yeah.
but he's not talking. He's not gesturing
talking.
in any way.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct.
So how close is this to a real product?
Well, we have, as you can see, the innovation started quite some time ago. And we have gone through a journey with Time Magazine to CES couple of times to Edison Award. And now this year is the best of innovation here. So we have gone through that journey where we have reached a point where definitely this is ready for commercialization. So we are looking into going into our, we're already working with the partners. That is the whole idea of best of innovation. Now for the consumer, it is supposed to go out anytime this year.
It could be this year.
Yes.
Really? Okay. Well, if people are interested in this product, where would they go to find out more?
Well, they can come to our website and they can learn more, and they can also contact us at any time.
And the website is where?
Yeah, right here, NaqiLogix.com.
NaqiLogix.com.
That is correct.
Very good. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope this works. This looks really fantastic. It looks like it does.
Oh, no, definitely it does, Alison, and hopefully we'll have you sometime trying it out. Thank you so much.
That'd be great. Maybe we'll see you next year, and you'll have it to let me try.
Oh, of course. Well, you are welcome to try it this year as well. We just don't have the demo right here, but...
Very good. Very good. Thank you very much for your time.
Likewise. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Last week, I explained that I needed to buy a new bit of bumper music that you just heard, and I had to do that when I discovered that my beloved cha-ching sound wasn't being heard right before begging for money. Now, a funny thing has been happening. A bunch of people have been telling me in Slack that they have been able to hear the money sound. I absolutely don't know how that is, because if you look at the original MP3 file that is in the feed, you can just barely see it on the waveform. I mean, it's wee tiny. It's just barely there. So the only thing I can think of is some of these podcatchers are bringing the sound back up, and I don't know how they're doing it. But anyway, during the show last week, I suggested in the panhandling section that it'd be cool if someone bought me 3 coffees using podfeet.com/donate to cover the cost of the new music. Well, John Ormsby, aka NASA Nut in the live show, was kind enough to do just that. When I thanked him, he said, "It's probably the least I can do for you putting up with my snarkiness." He's not wrong. He is a bit of a pest. But you know what? That's just the kind of person I like. As Amy Poehler says, sarcasm is my love language. So thanks, John, for the years of snarkiness and for covering the cost of the jingles. You may know Jason Howell from his work hosting Daily Tech News Show with Tom Merritt, or his work on the All About Android and Android Faithful podcast, or hosting tech news on the Twit Network. Over the last 2 decades, he's been the voice translating complex technology into clear human stories that connect with real audiences, or at least that's his goal. I think of him as one of the sweetest men I've ever met. Now that I've embarrassed you, welcome to the show, Jason.
Hey, Allison. So good to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. Well, you've been kind of on fire on TikTok with mini reviews covering a lot of different versions of smart glasses. There were so many different options being shown off at CES. I literally looked at none of them because I couldn't figure out how to even start. Like, I've seen the Meta Ray-Bans, but trying to figure out, like, why is this one cooler than that one? I couldn't even think of the questions asked. So I thought, why not have you on the show to talk about it? So what you agree? They were everywhere, right?
Oh, they were totally everywhere. And I kind of went into the Consumer Electronics Show this year with my mindset, like, I have a good feeling that these smart glasses are going to be a bigger deal at CES. I keep calling it Consumer Electronics Show, and I forgot they don't call it that anymore. It's just CES. Like it's not even meant to like stand for anything. I think that's so weird.
I do too.
When
companies
weird,
take an acronym that's perfectly useful and say no, it doesn't stand for that, but they use the same acronym.
Totally. I'm just like, I don't get it. But anyways, I went into CES with that kind of as one of my big goals, my big missions, was to just kind of see and notice and hopefully test out a bunch of different smart glasses and see, like, in the light or in the shadow cast by the Meta Ray-Bans, which I think everyone would agree, have kind of proven to a certain degree the commercial appetite or the commercial appeal of what smart glasses are and what they can be useful for. If you don't like Meta, totally get it too. There's a lot of people that are like, I wish these glasses were not by Meta, and I totally understand that. But I knew going into CES we were going to see a lot of these everywhere, and that is absolutely the case.
So let's talk a little bit of terminology. There's smart glasses might be the best overarching term, but there's AR
Sure.
versus VR. Are the glasses these days, are they AR? Are they VR? But they're
Or are they AI glasses? That's another one is AI
yeah.
glasses. And it really depends because a lot of the glasses, and I tend to just throw around smart glasses because they're glasses, but
I
smarter.
think that's easier.
It's easier. It's totally easier. AI glasses, I would consider if I was, to kind of interpret these terminologies, AI glasses are kind of what you get out of Meta Ray-Bans, not the View ones, not the ones with the displays. But if it's just audio only, that's really what you're talking about is glasses that allow you to interact with an LLM, an artificial intelligence, large language model or something like that, using your voice. Usually they have a microphone or a couple of microphones on board. Usually they have some speakers on board so that when you fire off a question to the AI that is integrated, it can give you an answer that doesn't require you looking at your smartphone to get that answer. So largely that form factor and that limited kind of use case or technology really is about interacting with artificial intelligence in your daily life using your glasses. And yes, they sometimes have cameras and that sort of stuff.
You're not really interacting with the world, though, right? It's not like your glasses see something and it says, that's the Empire State Building. It was built in.
Oh, absolutely. That is the case.
Oh,
I have not the Meta Ray-Bans, but I have the Meta Oakleys, and they are effectively the same thing as the Meta Ray-Bans. It's just they have a different style to them, right?
Right.
Yes, there's an onboard camera which you can use to record video and take pictures.
Shockingly good video and pictures, by the way.
Pretty solid. If you're okay sticking in portrait. That's my big criticism is, I do a lot of long form content and I want it to be horizontal. I want it to be landscape.
I didn't know. I never noticed it was, my friend Pat Dangler has them and sends me videos all the time. I simply never noticed it was always portrait. Okay.
Yeah, it's always portrait, which is great for sharing direct, especially with Meta's products, right? Great for sharing to Instagram immediately because that's how they roll.
That's what the world is for. Now, they've also done a big integration with Be My Eyes, which is an accessibility company that allows, so people, I have a lot of blind friends who wear Meta Ray-Bans, which is kind of ironic that they're wearing smart glasses, but they're wearing them because they can look around.
Feedback.
And they're getting feedback. They can ask a question saying, where's my cufflinks? And the person that answers can tell you where they are.
Right. Yeah, that's a really great example of why these things, have so much potential and so much power. When you're talking about, is it just wearing glasses that can take pictures and video? That's nice that it does that, and a lot of people use it. That's probably primarily what I use these glasses for is content creation, let's say. But, like the Meta Ray-Bans, the Meta Oakleys, they integrate with Meta AI, which, isn't my favorite AI system, let's say. But that allowed me when I was in Dublin, Ireland a handful of months ago, and I kind of purposefully left my normal sunglasses home and only took my Meta Oakleys, knowing that would kind of force me to use them for things other than content creation. And I had a whole day, my arrival day was wandering Dublin and like, just going on a sightseeing tour by myself. And the glasses totally came in handy. It was like, what is this pond? Oh, this pond is blah, blah, blah. It knows what you're seeing when you give it the certain kind of questions. And then you start having a conversation with it. Well, what makes that significant? Oh, really? Like who, blah, 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 blah. And you're just, meanwhile, I look like a crazy person because I'm talking to myself out in the middle of the park. But still, it was actually a really cool kind of experience to be in a legitimately different place that I knew nothing about historically. And to kind of have this conversation with the glasses that I'm wearing to learn more about it. It was really cool.
I didn't know it could do that. Okay, so that's kind of setting the stage. Like you say, everything's in the shadow of the Meta Ray-Ban Oakleys. And what kind of glasses are you looking at? What are the brands? What are they offering that maybe is different, better, worse?
Yeah. If I may, real quick, just to kind of like tie a knot on the previous question, which was the differences between these things, right? What we're talking about, and then we can get into the types because I'm covering all types right now. You've got the AI glasses, which is the kind of like audio only. Then you've got the vision type glasses, the ones that either have a single display that casts into a single eye. That would be the monocular version. You'll hear that term thrown around, monocular. And then you've got the glasses that have a display that integrates into both lenses. Those would be the binocular lenses. Usually those have some sort of three-dimensional element. And that's where you start getting away from just an AI kind of assistant that is embedded in your glasses and helps you understand the world through questions. And you get more into this kind of integrated, and I think potentially it gets more integrated than it is right now, but this integrated AR, augmented reality world where not only are things appearing in front of your eyes on those displays, but eventually you get to a point to where the things that appear there actually have some sort of awareness or integration with the things that your eyes see in the real world. And so you might, at some point, for example, look through the glasses down the street at the business that you're, the deli that you're going to go eat, and there's a little call out with an arrow pointing to it that says 4 stars here. When you're here, make sure and order, blah, blah, blah. That's like, I think, the long-term vision, no pun intended, or the view of where these things are kind of headed as kind of the technology gets built out deeper and the systems that are integrated into them, largely AI systems, get better.
So you could have been walking by the pond if you had the vision glasses and it would have told you what the pond was without you even asking?
I mean, potentially. I'm not saying that it would do that automatically,
Sure.
but that's kind of what the display integration enables, is more of kind of an interaction with the real world, because the displays on these glasses, they're glasses first and foremost. So you got to be able to wear them and see out into the real world. If I put them on and it blocks me off from the real world, then I'm not really wearing normal glasses the way you are right now, or you know what I mean? I'm wearing I'm basically wearing like a VR headset. It blocks me off. It's very very immersive would be the word that gets thrown out around all the time. But that essentially, in many ways means you're blocked off from the real world and creating a new world for your eyes to see. And so largely these displays that are integrated into smart glasses are somewhat transparent. You can see content there, but you also see through it. And that just opens up a whole world of possibilities.
Now, I feel like the vision glasses, as you're talking about with this extra display inside, is maybe starting to break through. We were driving to Vegas to go to CES, and we stopped in Primm, Nevada, which is a little bitty, awful place. But we stopped there to charge our car, and they've got a Starbucks, so we go to get a drink. And the barista had on these glasses that had, it looked like bifocals, but they were up at the top. And I asked him what they were, and he said, "Oh, they're blah, blah, blah." I gave me the name of it, and he said, "They're smart glasses." And I saw them in the wild in this little dinky place. So I thought that was, I guess that's what they were. I didn't get a chance to ask him more details about it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's interesting because there are glasses God, I'm surrounded by so many glasses right now. It's ridiculous.
I'm
Suddenly,
looking at Jason,
this is
so
my
he's
beat,
flinging them around.
apparently.
Yeah.
I have them all within range. But, there are glasses, like one of the glasses that I saw at CES are the Even Realities G2 glasses, which I know this is an audio-only show, right?
Correct,
So
correct.
Nobody's seeing the video, but these glasses are your typical kind of AI chatbot kind of integrated glasses. They do have a display, though, binocular display in both lenses. That display sits a little higher than your normal line of view. So that's one thing I'm noticing, is all the glasses have a different place in your vision where they put the display. It's also a very how do I say it? Vector, old school 80s vector graphic kind of display.
Okay.
It's green, kind of like what you would see
Green
on an old
screen?
school computer screen, green screen. It is binocular, so there's a little bit of 3D element, but it's really just very kind of leans into the old school thing. And so there are these glasses like these that actually look very similar to normal glasses. They're very thin. The compute is behind the ear. And then you go down
those actually look pretty normal. Those are the...
Yeah, they do look... Yeah.
That's
These
the
are
Even Realities G2. I would not immediately say that you had on smart glasses, except for the fact that when you moved it around, I could see the rectangular reflection.
Little
That's very
nubs.
much like the baristas was.
Oh, okay. And so that was my question is you were noticing as the visitor
Yes.
talking to them that they had a display up there. You could see it from your perspective?
Yeah, and I can kind of see it when you're talking too. When you look up
Yeah.
and down, I can see a little reflection that's just a little bit different out of the top of the glasses.
Yeah, and there are different ways to accomplish that. Some glasses, and I'm
Probably a
still
diffraction?
kind of
Diffraction
them.
lens, I think. Probably.
I don't know. I need to do more research on exactly how this is doing it, to be honest, with the even realities. But a lot of times what you're getting, and I think what you get out of like the Meta display glasses is something called waveguides, which are these little kind of like pathways. It's like a projector near the temples that projects the image into these little pathways that then get redirected into the glass and present themselves. And yeah, it's interesting. They all have kind of different approaches. This even realities, I'm not seeing the typical tells for the waveguide
Interesting
technology. So I need to do more research on this.
The ends of the temples, it's just a little bit thicker, and you're saying that's where the computing is?
Often.
Behind the ears?
My understanding on these is that behind the ears, these are kind of like battery and compute, and often what you get in the temples is the projector. But it just depends on all glasses, right? Some glasses really load things up on the front end, and it makes everything look really chunky and big,
Well, but
and kind of safety glasses like,
Those look pretty good. But so the Even Reality G2, what do they do that's more than what you would do or different? I mean, the form factor is very different, but do they do something different than Meta?
Yeah, they're very similar, to be honest.
Okay.
I haven't used the AI, kind of the LLM that is kind of part of this experience. But yeah, it's very similar. One thing these do not do, they don't have a camera on them, and they're meant to be lightweight. And so these are truly audio, but with also a display.
So what do you get displayed on the display? What do you see in it?
You might get like a map. You might get your notifications. They can
do that today?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It all syncs to your phone, of course. So it's passing information from an app on your phone that intercepts certain things like your notifications. One of the features, if I remember correctly, about the Even Realities G2 is that it has a teleprompter app. So you could technically load everything you're saying on here, and it would follow along. It also like hears the words you're saying at that moment and syncs up to that point of the prompter copy and stuff.
That's cool. That's really cool.
That's cool, given you don't mind wearing these glasses while you're doing whatever presentation you're doing,
Right. But I mean, wherever you
trade-offs.
look, you could be natural to the audience, and you're wherever you're looking, you've got it coming right into your eyes. You might end up with a weird cross-eyed thing, though, looking up. You look like you're rolling your eyes the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, that is a thing. I mean, Google has now. I'm very happy that they've invited me out a couple of times over the course of the last couple of years to check out their prototypes around their Project Astra glasses. And as I've used those, often with those demos, I'm talking to someone who's in front of me. And of course, they're showing me all the features. So I'm like talking to someone, but there's something right in between us. And I have to imagine what they see is like a cross-eyed version of me. Like, yes, I'm looking in your direction. And yes, I'm technically looking at you, but I'm looking at a layer that is between us.
Yeah.
And I know that looks weird.
Right. Well, because we do pick up real subtle cues of where the focus is of somebody. You can tell if you're at a party and somebody's looking at you, but their eyes are more parallel and they're actually looking to see if there's somebody more interesting in the room. Or maybe that only happens to me. I don't know.
No, I know that one well. Unfortunately. A little scarred on that one. Been there, done that.
So the Google ones, what are they called?
Well, they don't have an official release name yet because they're still prototypes. But if you remember, not 2025, but 2024 at Google I/O was when they did. If you happen to watch Google I/O that year, which is their developer conference, they had this this video where they were showing off the future of their Gemini technology. And, it had this this woman with her phone kind of interacting with the room and having a conversation. Meanwhile, we have this now. It's part of Gemini. It's called Gemini Live, and you can hold your phone up and you can be like, what am I looking at right now? How do I install this wheel on this bicycle? And it'll walk you through it. And then at the very end of that demo video, you see a pair of glasses on the table, and she picks that up and puts that on. And now we're seeing through her glasses view, and she does the same thing through the glasses, right?
Okay.
So this has been like a prototype that they've been working on and showing off for almost 2 years now. And it is essentially Gemini Live, but integrated into the glasses. And they have a binocular version of it that has these really nice displays that, 3D-dimensionalizes. You can watch a movie. You can watch a 3D movie through it if you really wanted to.
Wow.
And they're pretty cool, They're probably going to be really expensive when they finally release. But for right now, they're a prototype.
Okay. So in terms of real glasses that you've got sprinkled around your desk, what else you got?
What else do I have? Well,
See, on his list here, he's got Infinix, Ray Neo, Lenovo.
Yeah, and the Ray Neo. God, I didn't pull that out before the show, but I know I've got it in one of these bags. This is X-Real, and this actually isn't the X-Real that I put in the dock. This is the X-Real 1S. And so these are, and I'm saying this as if people can see it. Basically, what are they? These are, yes, they're smart glasses, but not nearly smart in the same way. These are more, I would describe them as like display glasses. So they're not full-on expanded reality or extended reality glasses, although they could probably do that at some point. But what the idea on these glass and this form factor is all about is you plug this into, say, a phone or to a laptop.
Hardwire?
And hardwire, yeah. So
Okay.
USB-C out the back. It's wired into whatever your video source is. And then it basically creates a virtual display for you wherever you look. So instead of having a monitor on my desk, I could project a large monitor into the glasses. And so if I happen to be on an airplane and I have a small amount of space, just enough for like a keyboard or whatever, I could essentially, technically, I could plug into my laptop, and my laptop display wouldn't take up all that space. It would just be in my eyes with the glasses that I'm looking through.
I'm glad to hear this is something you're not expected to really be walking around with, because to be honest, those look like corrective shoes. Those are really hideous. They're
big, yeah,
and
because
they've got a shadow,
a
shade thing across the top. Is that for light? Maybe.
This is partially. It's for blocking light, and also because there's actually compute in here. There's a specialized chip in here. One of the things that the X-Real 1S does is it does real-time 2D to 3D conversion of anything that you're watching. So you could put in a movie that is not made in 3D, although these are capable of watching 3D movies, but you could put a movie in here and play it through here, and it's 2D and instantly convert it into 3D content. Now, does it work perfectly 100% of the time? No, but it's a pretty convincing conversion. It actually looks reasonable, and given that you're okay kind of trading off a little bit of kind of perfection in the experience, it's kind of interesting to see.
I was really hoping that 3D would stop happening, because I mostly find it revolting.
You just don't care.
I actively dislike it, but maybe a subtle simulated effect would be less annoying than the dinosaur leaping out of the screen and trying to bite your face. I mean, that's where it's just like it's a little too much. So
I don't know how necessary or essential it is, but I don't know. I was definitely very curious to see them flirting with kind of real-time 3D conversion. The Google prototype. Okay, this is a little bit of a side tangent, but when I was at Google last November, December, I can't even remember when it was. They showed off something called Project Astra. And Astra is actually a collaboration between Google and X-Real, who makes these glasses I was just talking about. Those are this, but made for Android XR. And Android XR is Google's XR platform based on Android, essentially. And that essentially means then you start getting into this next tier of smart glasses where you're not necessarily, although you could, you're not necessarily meant to wear those glasses out in the real world, but they do let through the world. And they integrate kind of some of the more immersive qualities that you see in VR headsets, really high-end VR headsets. And that's where you start getting into elements that can pin to something in the real world or interact with them directly. And that was a prototype that they showed from that collaboration. That's supposed to launch sometime this year. I'm guessing we'll see it sometime this summer, maybe somewhere around that time frame. Total guess, but
okay.
That's on the horizon.
I did want to bring you back to the X-Reels and what is the experience like when you hook them up to a computer? Is it effective? What's the resolution like? I mean, is it crisp and clear?
The resolution, if memory serves, is your standard 1080p resolution. It's totally clear and it's totally doable. There are settings inside of these glasses to push the display out away from you, which effectively means it gets a little smaller. Or closer. You could almost, like one of the ways that I would describe it is if you go to your closest point, it's as if you're sitting in the front row of an IMAX movie theater. You have to really look around, and everything is just really large, right?
Okay.
Which is not ideal. I guess it depends on the content that you're watching. But, you have a lot of control over where that display sits in your view, how large or small it is. Do you want to pin that display to a single point the way we're used to where a monitor always stays right there?
Right.
Or do you want that display to follow your head everywhere you look, because it doesn't matter where I'm looking, the display's always right in front of me.
I think that'd be weird. That'd be really weird.
It's, it just kind of depends on what you need in that moment. If you just, because sometimes looking around, you lose spot of what you're looking at. I don't know. It's really hard to explain some of these things, to be honest. It's not as weird as you may think. Let me just say that. Some glasses do that, and it is weird, partially because every single little twitch that we make, because we are human beings and we kind of, shake and move and everything, means the display follows around. That's a little strange. But the X-Reels, they have designed a system to where those little twitches and normal, facts of being human, those little movements don't come through on the glasses. It smooths it all out. And so it actually works really well. It's very graceful.
So can you see through the glasses too, or no? Is it just the display?
It is mostly just the display, as far as the 1S is concerned. Although, I'm putting it on right now. Yeah, I can see through it. With the display not fired up, I can see you perfectly.
Okay.
There is and to kind of explain this for people who are listening, the glasses are actually two different glasses that I'm looking through right now. There's the one that you see, Allison, which is like the big kind of like sunglass shade.
Right.
This is actually, this will actually dim depending on light source. So if I'm looking forward and I've got something shining on the interior display, these will shade.
Okay, become more opaque.
I think it's called electrochromatic dimming.
Okay.
And so they will go dimmer to block out more of the light source so that I can see the display that's on the inside better. And then they will do things to where if I look down at my phone, they'll brighten so that I can see the phone without having to go like this and lift my glasses to do the thing. They're very smart. But yeah, they're two different lenses. There's basically the sunglasses lens, and then if you see on the inside, there's these little interior lenses, which is where the kind of projection happens. And that's largely happening from the top here, this big chunky part of the top.
It's funny. One of the things I was most excited about with Apple Vision Pro was the idea of being able to use them as a display anywhere I was, to have a great big display. Now, what they did with it was interesting. We'll just leave that aside there. But those glasses, the X-Reels, sound like they're more what I was really looking for. What I was excited by was to be able, like you say, be on a plane and have a serious screen while I'm working.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be okay with the fact that you're wearing some, nerdy piece of glasses that some people might be making fun of you, and you'll never know because you don't know them and they don't know you. But if you're okay with that,
well, they're not as silly looking as wearing Vision Pro, that's for sure.
I was just going to say they are a step, better in the right direction, I think, as far as like blending in a little bit better than a Vision Pro on an airplane. Right. Absolutely.
Now, I'm a kind of a screen snob. 1080p makes my eyes bleed, so I'd have to wait till those are a little bit higher resolution, but maybe I could.
I think you'd
it.
Be surprised. Honestly,
really?
I think you'd be surprised. Yeah,
okay.
It really when I put them on, I'm like, oh, this is great. If you get to smaller text, you start to notice a little bit of the breakup, but it looks really good. It really does.
I'll check this out.
But I am also excited for higher resolution throughout these, this form factor. Absolutely.
Right. So what else did you see? What other kinds of glasses are doing interesting
Well,
things?
Yeah, I mean, I know that I mentioned, I've talked a lot about X-Real. While I was there, I did see the X-Real R1. That is basically these, but made in collaboration with Asus and the ROG gaming brand. And so the big differentiator there is, they've got like a hub that you can plug those glasses in around your gaming system so you can easily switch between gaming systems fed into the glasses. But they also, I think, support up to 140 hertz refresh.
Okay.
So they're not like your standard 60 hertz or whatever, the 140 hertz. So anyways, so that was another thing similar to kind of what we were talking about. So there's not a whole lot more to say about that. Well, let's see here. While I was at the event, I was testing out the Ray Neo X3 Pros, which I'm realizing I don't have right now because I went snowboarding last weekend. I took them with, and they're in a bag somewhere. And those are, like you're a little bit more like the Ray-Ban display glasses, right? They've got the binocular displays, one in each eye. And yes, you can do all the AI kind of conversation. You can do the navigation. They are running a version of Android, so you can technically install Android apps on those glasses, and they operate on their own. So I don't have to have it plugged in physically to my phone. They are their own computer. And I would say they're interesting, but boy, are they an early adopter device. Like the battery life is abysmal on them. But good for content creators. It has a camera that's centered above the bridge of the nose instead of at the temple, which is what a lot of these glasses do. And that's actually really important if you're in content creation, at least in my experience, because if they're up at the temple and I'm doing like a hands-on with something that's really close, everything's like off balance because I'm centering to the center of me, but the camera is centered to my temple. And so the footage ends up being like everything's down in the bottom 2/3 corner of the footage that you shoot.
I suppose
not
you could
ideal.
learn to compensate for that. But you'd have to be like, tilting your head over to one side to point your forehead at something that's not going to be natural.
Totally. You do learn that over time. It is certainly something that I think the more you do and work with it, the more you kind of self-correct. But personally, it's not ideal. I'd rather have it be centered. And those glasses do that. And the footage was pretty good.
That was the Ray Neos we were still talking about, right?
Yeah, the X3 Pros.
So,
I was wandering the show floor with those, looking like a nerd wearing safety glasses, basically.
Just different safety glasses every couple hours. That's all.
Yeah, totally.
Whose LLM did they use?
None of, and this is actually pretty common with a lot of these that we're talking about right now. They won't tell you exactly what it is most of the time. Be like, no, we've got our own, or they'll brand it as their own, and it's some form of like white label. They're probably using ChatGPT, or they're probably
they might even be using Llama
from
Meta. That's open source, right? They could be doing that.
Yeah, right, exactly. They could be using an open source model, or it's licensed on the back end. But they almost always, if they're doing that, they name it their own thing, and they have their own app that integrates with it. And
so they're all trying to make their own name, not be that these are ChatGPT glasses, but they're
totally
Lenovo.
They're trying to make their own name.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that is definitely the case with Infinix. Infinix is a up and coming brand, especially in the AI glasses space. But I know them through some of their smartphones and stuff. These aren't smartphones that you get in the US. They're very predominantly overseas only. And Infinix was showing off the AI glasses and AI glasses Pro. And the differentiators between those is AI glasses is just your straight up microphone glasses. AI glasses Pro were their glasses with the camera embedded into the unit. Again, it was like a prototype. The more I see these things, the more I'm like, okay, these are all very, very similar. They all do very similar things. It's just now that company has one. And now this company, Lenovo, that's another one that I saw. They had their prototype on display. AI glasses with camera, with microphone, again, their own bespoke AI integrated into it. At a certain point, it becomes really hard to like sell you on the benefits or the disadvantages of any of them because they all do very similar things, and they're all very early prototype kind of state right now.
Okay, so the big features in a smart glasses, you've got possibly a camera, possibly doing video, possibly monocular vision, or a monocular AR
Binocular. Yeah.
or binocular AR. But some can do a display from a computer. Some are just standalone. Some are maybe an Android based. Well, no, you've at least got a box around what can be in
totally.
them. And it's not that big of a box. It's not that many different things.
No, but they definitely kind of occupy their own space, and I think that's part of why I've been getting really interested in this, because when I look at this kind of moment we're in, whether you love it or hate it, AI, everybody's talking about AI, and when I look at kind of what current LLM technology is capable of, which is this idea of like contextualizing around questions you have and, answering broader context and researching and synthesizing and summarizing and recording and transcribing and all these things. And then I look at, what kind of my idea of a future smart glasses might be. Like what is the smart glasses form factor? What is the potential really useful kind of thing that it exists to solve? Those two technologies together really seem like a match made in heaven in my mind. And so it's really interesting to see how all of these companies have a same but different kind of way of heading into it. And I think my guess is that eventually, go down the timeline long enough, they kind of converge into a single thing, which is these are glasses that can contextualize the world, that can overlay elements on top of what you're already looking at, that, yes, can answer questions about anything you want them to, to talk to you about or whatever. And we're seeing some of those features now. It's just really early, and so they're rough, or it means the battery life is absolutely awful, or it means you have to have it physically plugged into a device, which nobody wants to have to do. I think eventually we're getting to the point to where, honestly, where Google was showing off a couple of months ago on the prototypes.
I love to hear you say that it's early days. I tease Tom Merritt about this all the time because I've been hearing people say early days about AR glasses since the first time I heard it was Stuart Chaffee used to have a show called The Computer Chronicles on cable TV. So we're talking like the 1980s. And he was at Comdex, I think it was. And there's this guy with this giant headset on, and it's got like a big mechanical linkage on a lift arm above him because the thing is so heavy. And they show the inside, and it's like a 3D rendering, except it's wireframe. And they said, well, this is early days. And I mean, we are talking
early days.
We're talking 40 years. We've been saying early days, and it's still early days. It's like it feels like it's getting closer, but I think it's running asymptotic to ever not being early days. I really do.
Yeah. I don't. I think it's probably one of those things that is all about your perspective, right? It's kind of like getting older, right? It's like anytime I say, oh man, I'm getting older, there's always someone out there that's like, well, you're not old because I blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know what I mean? It's always like dependent on who you're talking about and the scale at which you go out. When I think of true early days from my own personal lived experience, I think of Google Glass, which is based on what you're saying, not early days. That's like later days. But from what we're seeing now, kind of this miniaturization and the integration of these features into form factors that, finally we have glasses that actually look like normal glasses mostly and can do all these things. 13 years ago, there was Google Glass and it did a lot of these things, but it looked really funky. It did not look like normal glasses.
Was that the only thing? I know you were a big proponent of those, and I remember you doing video of your kids when they were wee tiny, and you probably got some crazy cool video from that time. Is that really why they failed? Because they looked funny, or was there something else?
No, they failed for a number of reasons. I think overall they failed because society was not ready for that.
We weren't in the full surveillance world yet.
Yes, totally. And, and I hate to put it that way. It's not like we're ready to be fully surveilled now, but there is a lot more comfort, I think, in attached to modern technology because of social media, because of, everybody is a creator of some sort on social media, recording every moment of their lives and sharing it with the world. And there's a lot more of that now than there was even 13 years ago. I think Google Glass came out around the time as Google Plus, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
That
is
was ages ago when you're talking about social media.
We are old.
And maybe right around the time that Instagram was happening, somewhere around that time. So I think that societally, at least in kind of the Western world, let's say, where, this kind of like technology drumbeat is beating so heavily, I think people are more open to form factors like this. Yet at the same time, like, people are still very resistant to it. There are certain glasses that the Ray Neos that I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I will wear those because I'm actively reviewing them right now. I will wear those on a walk with my dogs, and I can't help it when I see that someone's coming down the path to me.
Do you take them off?
I sometimes I take them off. Sometimes I look. Oh, the dog wants to go over here and go to the bathroom. I guess I'll go over here with the dog. Just because it's awkward. Like they do not look like normal glasses. They look normal-ish, but not totally normal. And I don't want to find myself in a position where someone is like, dude, are you recording me right now?
Right.
I'd rather avoid it. So,
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's good that you're aware of what you look like when you're doing it, because I could see getting used to it. Like, what if they're comfortable and you're just wearing them and you don't, you're forgetting that you look like some kind of robot going by.
There's plenty of people that find that comfort, and I'm still working on finding that comfort. The one time that I found that comfort recently was CES, when I was at the Consumer Electronics Show.
Nobody even gave you a second look.
And I didn't even question it. I put it on, I was like, wait a minute. This is the place where I can wear these glasses. No one's going to care, and no one cared.
I'm with my people now.
Exactly.
Because right behind you, a robot is kicking somebody in the head over here,
Yeah, right. I do want to mention, because we didn't mention it before, that I did get the opportunity to sit down with the folks at a company called Loomis. And Loomis are the waveguide technology company behind Meta's recent display glasses. And they were showing off a prototype that they had 70-degree field of view in a normal glasses form factor, which is pretty remarkable. I mean, it was
form factor of the video being projected onto the screen.
70-degree field of view, yes. So it just had these massive, they were normal glasses, although they were very prototype. Like literally, the temples were held together with like duct tape. But the lenses were, kind of your normal eyeglasses type lenses with waveguide that filled up almost the entire thing on both lenses.
Huh.
And it was, technology like that and companies like Loomis, who have absolutely proven themselves in the marketplace because they were the ones that got their technology in Meta's big project, right? They are all working towards the time. I think that what I walked away from that experience with was the fact that this is all working towards a time when the entire lens is a projectable space, right?
Right.
The entire glass is a point. And that doesn't necessarily mean that there is stuff filling up your view at all times. That's when you start getting to the point to where little pieces augment your view. You see through the glasses, 90% of the glasses is unobstructed, but there's that little 10% call out that's pointing to the pizzeria that says, oh, you should really go here, with an arrow to it. That's where I think this stuff is all headed.
So two things come to mind when I think about that is the first is whatever happens, if you've got a full projection screen on the inside or even one of these partial ones, your visual acuity and brightness through the rest of it, when you're actually trying to look at the real life, that's going to be diminished. That's going to be diminished, right? It's going to be dimmer. It's going to be fuzzier. You're obstructing in some way. So then my second thought immediately was driving. You got to take these glasses off, right? That's terrifying.
Take the Ray Neo X3 Pro, which is kind of the ongoing example that I have of all this stuff that we're talking about right now. Aside from the prototypes that I've seen once or twice, these are the ones that I have and that I'm kind of trying to live with to understand them. The glasses themselves, yes, if you put them on, I can see through. There's no sunglass tinting to them. Technically, I'm seeing through. This is really hard to explain, by the way. I've tried to explain it a couple of times. When I look through those lenses, I can see the world. But based on how these lenses are created, there are multiple layers within the lens that do different things.
Right.
And so what you end up with on the outside, if you were to look at me wearing them, you'd see everything that I'm looking at because they are insanely reflective. It's almost like you're looking in a mirror, depending on how much light, where the light source is coming from. And you get that on the inside too. So while it's transparent, while I can see through it, there's enough light kind of interactions and involvement there to make the view less than normal, even when you don't have anything shining on the display, let alone then you start putting stuff on the display. And yeah, it gets really tricky when I've taken those for a walk with my dogs. There are times where I realize I'm interacting with the display and I'm about to walk into a foam pole,
Right,
or whatever.
right. Well, you're changing focal distance too, right?
Totally. Yeah. The world is there and the display is see-through. Even when I've got stuff on the screen, I can technically see through it, but my focus is not through it. It's on it. And it's almost the same as holding up a phone and in front of you and going for a walk. Like,
it's a
you're going to have a bad day
phone,
at some
but
point.
You're going to be, I fall down without any assistance, so I don't really need that kind of help. Yeah, I wonder where that goes. The other piece I wanted to ask you about was, is anybody talking about what if you already have prescription lenses?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because a big percentage of us do.
For sure. And they definitely, some of these lens technologies are prescriptable, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what that word is.
That's a good word. You might have made it up, but I like it.
Yeah, it sounds word. It sounds normal.
Sounds word.
And then, some of them you need an extra layer, like a prescription layer, like the as if two elements inside of the X-Real glasses isn't enough. There's a third element that you can get that's like a little miniature prescription glasses that you fit in to the inside, so that when you put them on, you can see it in your prescription. They all do it a little differently, but yeah, a lot of times it is possible.
So now your corrective shoes now have a brace between them that you're trying to walk with.
Yeah,
I mean, they're getting that.
Totally.
That has got to be ugly. That's got to be rough.
Yeah,
but we're at early days,
it's on
Jason.
the inside. Most people wouldn't see it. Yeah, we're at early days, right? This stuff just started happening just now.
Exactly. Well, this has been really fun. I didn't know quite where this was going to go, whether it was going to be a review of individual glasses, but I really like that you kind of more painted the picture for us of what you're trying to say. It's sort of like you translated complex technology into clear human stories, right?
Oh, dang. It's almost like that's my goal in my career. That's what I'm always trying to do.
All right. Well, hey, Jason, if people wanted to follow your work, where would be the right place for people to go?
Oh, boy. I'm in so many places right now. Related to what we're talking about right now, I'm writing a lot on ZDNet about this as a contributing writer, which is a lot of fun. I was never a writer before going independent a few years ago, so I'm doing that now, and that's a good time. And then I do have a YouTube channel that you go to, and I'm doing a lot of like reviews of these products and different videos and stuff. So just go to YouTube, search for Jason Howell. You'll find me. I'm there. And, there's a million other things, but I don't need to name them all.
We've got a link tree I pulled out of your TikTok
that works.
thing. And so maybe I'll post that. And that has does that have the ZDNet stuff in it yet?
Yeah, it has everything. Linktree.com/Jason Howell. Just
actually,
go there. That works.
linktr.ee. Oh, okay. Both ways work.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thankfully, they've made it friendly. So I can just say linktree.com/Jason Howell and it'll redirect to there. But yeah, it works.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Jason. This was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and I look forward to looking like a dork like you someday, and with the glasses that'll be right for me.
You too could look like a dork, like me. Thank you, Allison. It was a lot of fun.
Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Did you know you can email me at allison@podfeed.com anytime you like? I'll probably even answer questions while I'm on vacation. If you have a question or a suggestion, just send it on over. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You can follow me on Mastodon at podfeed.com/Mastodon. If you want to listen to the podcast on YouTube, go to podfeed.com/YouTube. You can see all of Steve's fantastic videos there too. If you want to join the conversation, you can join our Slack community at podfit.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely NoSilicastaways about things like how you heard the cha-ching and I don't understand how. You can support the show at podfeet.com/Patreon, or you can use a one-time donation at podfeet.com/donate, like John did to help pay for the jingles. Or if you like PayPal, we have that too. Where do you think it is? podfeet.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, you're going to have to wait until February 22nd to head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NoSilicastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed.